everyone. This is Henny Espinosa with Just Wish Foundation. Today we are joined by Sharon Giovinaccio, CEO of Lighthouse for the Blind and Visually Impaired. It is a nonprofit organization based in the San Francisco Bay Area. Thank you for joining us on Just Wish Foundation, Sharon.
Thanks, Henny.
So, Sharon, tell us how back in 1902, wow, this such a rich history. Tell us how California's first private agency for the blind was born.
Well, it was a lot like what we do today, and it was to fill a need. Josephine Rowan had a brother who was blind, and so he couldn't access printed material. So she put together a group of volunteer ladies in the basement of the San Francisco Public Library, and that started as the reading room, and what eventually has become the Lighthouse. So even though technology has advanced, there's still that same need today that we're filling. I think that we'll talk about it later on in the interview and cover some of that stuff. So
let's talk about how your goal as an organization is really to promote independence, community, and equity created by and with the blind and low vision people. Now, one of your programs is Access Technology and how it helps your clients to use technology with more comfort and ease. So tell us about that.
Sure. So if you think about it, we're in a post-industrial society, right? And everybody relies so heavily on technology. We transact business, we shop, we stay connected socially. And technology is truly one of the true equalizers. So once people get the skills that they need, but until they get the skills, there's a great big gap there, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they can have equal access. They can stay connected with their friends and their family. They can get gainful employment. They have the ability to live the life that they want to live. Mm-hmm. And that's why this training's so important. And on the part that you brought up about our mission to promote independence, community, and equity created by and with blind and low vision people. When you think about that means that we're not creating anything that we do in a vacuum. We talk with all of our stakeholders that's out there. What are their wants? What are their needs? We have a lot of stakeholders. So other than just the clients that we serve, we have our employees who's a stakeholder. We have our donors who are stakeholders. We have state and government funding agencies that are our partners. So we can't just say, okay, we're going to create this one thing and this is all that you get. Instead, we listen to what they want and what they need. And we try to meet those needs in as many ways as what we can. And sometimes we're doing that with limited resources, just like every other nonprofit out there, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that if there isn't government funding out there to do it, that we find partners like you guys. And, we get that word out and we get funding for it, because in some ways, if we go back to the 1902 question, we are our brother's keeper, right? So we're responsible for being able to say, okay, we can put together these resources so we can help people just live the life that they want to live. Blindness should just be an inconvenience rather than it being something that just absolutely alters and stops your life. It's really not a death sentence.
And since you were founded, I was reading through your history, and really collaboration and working together with your stakeholders has always been the case.
Always.
And that's why you guys are pioneers, really, in this field, in this advocacy.
That's right.
That's great. So besides being able to use technology with ease, with comfort, with confidence, one of your programs is to also teach the blind and the visually impaired everyday skills. Now, skills and strategies that they can apply every day throughout their life to help maintain their independence. Tell us about this and why this is so important.
So I'm going to talk about this from a personal point and the reason why I've decided to stay in the field as well. And so for me, I was 31 years old when I lost my vision because of multiple sclerosis. And frankly, even though I had been in the military, I was a combat medic in the Army, I was working as an LPN, I had no skills whatsoever as a person who was blind. I couldn't put toothpaste on my toothbrush. And so it starts off with things that are as simple as that. So no matter where the person is in their life, we meet them where they're at and we get them to where they want to go. And each individual, so we don't just have a cookie cutter approach. where everybody gets the exact same thing. It's actually customized.
It is you really get to know your clients. What is your everyday
What's your
kind of
needs? What's your
your
wants?
activities during the day?
Exactly.
What kind of help would you need to go about your day?
I mean,
And
just
then you
think.
guys help them strategize around their daily activities to
That's
help.
right, and make a plan and come up with a plan. I mean, just think if you woke up today blind, what's the first thing that's in your mind? It's like, oh my gosh, I got to call somebody. You pick up this touchscreen phone, how are you going to use it?
Yeah, yeah.
You have to cook your dinner. You have your kids coming home from school. You have to cook dinner. You don't even know where to start, right? Because you don't have those skills. And so it's so important to get those basis of the skills. And whether that be for living life, going into the community, or finding employment, there's a certain set of skills that we all need, right? There's a special set of skills that we all need. And so that's what we do, is we meet the people where they're at, get them to where they want to go.
And Sharon, I can imagine it's also different for those clients who were born blind, and also those who lost their vision later on in life, such as yourself, right?
Right.
It's a different approach as well. Am I right?
Sure. But I mean, as complex as human beings are, there's not one diagnosis. It might be the same visual acuity with the same back disease, everything that goes into it. It'll be two totally different people. I mean, because the fabric of what makes us humans, the mosaic of what makes us all humans, and this one race that we all circle around together in, is that everybody has a different need. And it depends on what their family needs are. It depends on what their personal goals are. And so yeah, it's having a conversation and figuring it out, but getting the professionals to help you figure it out. Because if there wasn't somebody there that was holding my hand along the way, I'd still probably be sitting on my front porch in a rocking chair.
Yeah. And it's totally different too for those who may be living with family, like you said, through their support system, whether they're living by themselves. So that's also factors. Those are factors to also consider. Tell us also about your clients that you serve that are both deaf and blind, and what kind of programs are available for them.
So we're really honored at the Lighthouse to have the National Deafblind Equipment Distribution Program. It's also called the I Can Connect program. And what that does is it provides telecommunications for distance communication devices, as well as training for people who have dual sensory loss. So both sight and hearing loss. And they don't have to be 100% blind or 100% deaf. It can be on that spectrum. So it can be progressive. It can be somebody might have ushers, and they may still voice, and they still may be able to read large print, but it's going to go down. And so that's a wonderful program that was authorized a few years back by the federal government. And there's about $10 million across the United States every year that goes into this program. So not only do they provide the equipment, but they also provide the training. And then, of course, that's another way to get hooked into programs like the Lighthouse and so many of the other wonderful agencies that we have that serves here in California. And, that keeps them connected with their friends and their family. It's an eventual entryway into employment, because you've got to have the tools. You've got to have the right tools, right?
Yeah.
And then all of our other programs that we have as well is offered to people who have the dual sensory hearing and vision loss as well. So for individuals who are deafblind, so orientation and mobility, computer access training, independent living, it's all available through us. So it doesn't matter where you're at with your disability, we can meet you there.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. We're talking about employment. Let's talk about how Lighthouse ensures that your working age clients are successful in getting jobs, getting that solid paycheck, really becoming independent.
So there's an alarming statistic that's out there. There's a 70% unemployment rate, which is really a sad statistic in this day and age when you think about everything that's available, on the computers and things that can be done. So what we do in our workforce development program is we not only make sure that people are job ready with their blindness skills, but they have the tools in their toolbox that they need in order to compete with their sighted peers. I mean, because frankly, that's who we're competing against. And so anything from a certification program to repurposing somebody's skills, and it might just be brushing up the resume and getting them the blindness skills, because they may already have the skills. They may have already performed and had a 20-year career, and they just happen to lose their vision and they're not ready to retire yet. And so making sure that we have all of those components in place. And then, also being able to have conversations and have partnerships with employers.
Yeah.
So we can get people out there that as they're going through this, then they can go and they can do an internship at a partner organization. And then that gives them something on their resume. I mean, I've had employers ask me before, it's like, am I going to have to hire somebody to walk her to the bathroom? That's because she's blind. And, and it's all, we all bring those stereotypes and misconceptions. I brought it to my own disability journey. And then we are also an employment program as well. Out here in Alameda, we have our light manufacturing facility where we produce toilet tissue for the military. And it's the packets that go inside of the MREs. We've been doing those for about 45 years. And then we also do a chemical line, EPA Safer Choice, and we supply all of that to the federal government. And so it's not just us, and it's not just in the community. We have all of those. And so once the folks are trained, and then there's no reason not to be able to place them. But sometimes it takes that advocacy and it takes somebody else going in there and saying, look, we have these people. And then you think about all the great things that AI is doing. Well, they might look at a person who's blind resume and they may not have all the keywords, or it may be something a little bit different, and they may just get tossed aside. And, and so the employment issue is a big one, but we know what people need. They need to be able to compete with everybody else who's out there walking on the sidewalk applying for that same job. And so have the skills in place, have the tools in their toolbox so they can take them anywhere.
Yeah. And for your clients, it must also be a sense of relief that you guys are out there advocating for them.
Right. Absolutely.
That's different.
And it's needed. I mean, because it gets exhausting.
You can do the job. Yeah.
It's exhausting sometimes, when you're trying to do this all on your own. And so, we're there to help lift the heavy weights for them. So
yeah, that's great. That's great. Okay, let's talk about your adult programs at Lighthouse, and why you want your clients to be empowered, to connect, also have some enjoyment and fun.
What is enjoyment and fun? Wait a minute. I don't know if that's one of our No, not really. and so we offer everything that we've already talked about: the access technology, the independent living. We offer Braille, orientation, and mobility. So you think about the people walking around with the red and white canes, and that there's a skill behind that. And that's trained by a master level trainer who knows about blindness and all of that. And then we also have our camp, which really provides a special connection.
Let's talk about that, the camp. Yes.
Yeah. And so, we have some people who's been attending camp for over 60 years consecutively. They've not missed a year. Talk about connections. And why is that so important? We all need connections in our life. It doesn't matter how introverted you are, you still need a connection in your life, right? And not only that, we're occupational beings. And so with our workforce development program, we're trying to lower that 70% unemployment rate. But, it's a lot of times when people lose their vision, they just give up. And it's like, I can't do that. I can't go to work. And so I tell people all the time that my job as the CEO here is to sell people who are blind. I go out in the community. I'm out giving presentations. I'm running a major business. And it's like my whole life revolves around my blindness and showing other people that it can be done. But what you come into blindness with thinking what's impossible, when you get the right rehab services, you actually find out that spells I am possible. And that's what our goal is with this.
You're so inspiring, Sharon, because I'm sure your clients are able to get that, that strength and that vision through you, that my life could get better.
Right. And there was people
not
who
just survive, but
me.
thrive,
That's right. And there was people who gave that to me. And that's why I've decided to keep this as a career, is because now I get to give that to other people. I have the honor of giving that to other people.
Of course, of course. Are there other staff members, Sharon, that also are blind or visually?
About 40% of our staff.
How many percent?
About 40%.
Wow.
And I have about 130 full-time employees right now.
Wow.
And then we have our seasonal employees, and then we're building out that retreat center at camp. So we should be up to probably at least 150 here by the time summer rolls around. Be about 175 with the seasonal work.
Wow.
Yeah. And about 40% of the staff are blind.
Wow. And that makes a difference.
Huge.
A big difference.
We not only
your clients
talk the talk, we walk the walk.
That's right. Let's talk about the fun part, that this enchanted hills, and kind of this is why this is a one of a kind camp in the West Coast. Tell us about the property and what's in store for the campers.
Oh boy. So if you ask any of our campers, they'll say EHC is the place to be. And as I stated earlier, we have campers who's been with us for over 60 years.
Wow.
The Lighthouse purchased that under Rose Resnick in 1950, and was her dream that it offered a place of sanctuary and a place where you could learn additional skills and make additional friends and connections as well. We're the only camp west of the Mississippi that exclusively serves people who are blind.
Wow.
And that is also, and that EHC also serves as one of our employment programs. With our rebuilding that we're doing, that we're just completing because of the fires that came through in 2017, we also built out a retreat center that will serve corporate America. And so like any company that you can think of, it'll serve as a wedding venue. It'll serve as a place for family reunions, but there'll also be people who are blind working in that. And so it may be somebody who comes in who eventually wants to open a Michelin restaurant, and they come in and learn how to do the catering and what have you.
Wow.
We sit on 311 acres in a redwood forest right outside of Napa on Mount Veeder. And so that gives you a lot of territory to be able to come and work, hone your skills, and just relax as you hear the breeze, ruffle through the trees and what have you. But you work on those friendships, and those friendships last a lifetime. It's so much fun to see the campers talking with one another on Facebook. And, it's like, oh, do you remember in 1979?
Yeah.
And so we're really honored that this is part of our community and that we get to run that camp. So
that's great. That's great. And do the campers come back maybe as well as counselors or volunteers?
Oh, yeah. Year after year after year.
Wow.
It's a great thing. It really is.
And this happens when? During the summertime?
And so, it runs all summer. And we also have some year-round programming that happens up there, and we're trying to build those out as well. And then the retreat center will run year-round as well.
So Sharon, let's talk
come
about.
Up and visit us. You got to come up and visit us.
I know. I want to see the property. I mean, when I look at the pictures, you can really see that this is a camp, a moment, a time that really means a lot to your clients. It's probably life-changing for so many people.
It is. I mean, it's. I say all the time that people who are blind don't get outside enough.
Yeah.
And this provides that. It go and get dirty, go hug a tree, whatever you want to do. Sit around a campfire and roast marshmallows.
Yeah, it heals the soul to just.
It does. It really does. Having that connection with nature. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk about your program now that helps children. Your early how do you call that? Like your early childhood services? Yes, tell us about that.
Yeah, so our Little Learners program serves our youngest in our population, 0 to 3. And so a blind and low vision specialist will go out to visit with the family. So once they receive a diagnosis, they do everything from letting them know what to expect to attending doctor's appointments with them. Many of our little learners have been diagnosed with CVI or cortical visual impairment. They also call it brain blindness. And so their eyes might work fine. It's the connection between the eyes and the brain that does not. That's not all of them, but that's the biggest growing population that we have right now. And so, you think about the diagnosis many times when our littles come into the system, and it's not just blindness, it's also multiple disabilities. That go along with that. So, it's a real challenge. And just think if you were a parent and you received a diagnosis of your child, all those hopes, dreams, and aspirations that you had, it's like all of a sudden you didn't know anybody who was blind. You have no benchmarking. It's like, is my child going to be able to live an independent life? Or, my chief of staff is a great example. She received services through the Lighthouse. She started at 6. But she had a blind and low vision specialist when she was a child. And the doctors told her parents to institutionalize her. She now serves as my chief of staff.
Wow.
Yeah, let's go back and tell the doctor that, right? And so some of that is just building up the parents, but it's also exposing them to all the things that they need, the early orientation and mobility training. Because if you think of a blind child that you just put them in the middle of the room, their whole life is what they can reach. And so teach them how to explore, how just to be a kid, right? And also teaching the parents that they're going to run into a wall and it's okay. But there's also tools. And so then you start with the early literacy, introduction to Braille and all of that stuff. I tell you, our littles are just the absolute best. Their parents are the best. We just had our beeping egg hunt, so our spring celebration out with our partner organization, Guide Dogs for the Blind in San Rafael. And so there was puppies and guide dogs and companion dogs out there. And they all get to go out there and do the beeping egg hunt. So, because how else is a kid going to find an egg, right? Unless it's beeping.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we have a lot of fun with that program. And, eventually the littles grow up to be adults. And so if we can mitigate some of the things that happen or that has happened in the past, is where they're armed with the tools early on, it's going to set them up for much more success in the future.
Yeah. 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 That's great. That's great.
We love our littles. We love them. We love their parents. We love everybody.
Yeah. I mean, and giving the parents because it might, for parents who have never really had to deal with blindness, I'm sure it's so daunting and giving them that.
I can't imagine. I mean, you're having a boy and you think he's going to be a quarterback. He's going to play for the 49ers. And then you get this diagnosis and then all these other issues that go along with it. And I mean, I can't imagine, but I tell you, our low vision specialists swoop in there almost immediately. And I mean, some of them, they're not even home a week. And I think they visited some of our littles in the hospital when they were in the hospital. So it's such a dedicated team. It really is. But the parents are awesome. And we have a little learners camp as well. And so there's 1 week where the parents and the littles come up. And so they get to build that community with the other parents while they're seeing their kids play in the dirt and kayak and all the things that happen at camp. But then the parents have that connection as well. And so that's why it's so important for us to build community.
Yeah. Yeah. Sharon, you have such a wide array of programs that are available for all ages, for people who really need it most. What can the community do to help?
So, there's always opportunities for the community to get involved, whether that be volunteering, and that might be going for a walk with a person who's blind, who's newly blinded, who needs to get out and get some exercise. It may be reading their mail or assisting them with shopping or something, or working at camp, becoming a volunteer at camp. And we do have paid positions up there as well. And because, there's always limited government funding on programs, so there's always a shortage of money. So whether you do a one-time donation, you come out to support an event, or you become a sustaining donor, there's all kinds of ways to get people involved. And sometimes it's just coming and taking a tour and seeing the beautiful building that we have right there on Market Street and seeing all the good work that we are doing.
That's great. That's great. For us at Just Wish Foundation, we want to work part as well. We are just so honored that we got to know you guys, and we feel that the more the community hears about you guys and the great work that you guys do, I hope that help comes pouring in, because this is really a community. These are clients that really need all the support that we can give them, and like I said, not just to survive. We all need to thrive as individuals.
That's right.
It's a community, and we can only do that really if we fully embrace and fully throw in our support for people, regardless of their situation. So we just applaud you, Sharon.
And frankly, blindness can happen to anybody at any time.
Totally.
It doesn't matter how rich, how poor you are, doesn't matter where you're from, it can happen to anybody at any time. And so to know that there's a resource there for people, that we're a soft place to land when that happens, but also to know that we can't do it without partners like you guys.
Yeah. Thank you so much. More power to Lighthouse, more power to you, Sharon. You guys are such an inspiration, and we're just so honored that we can do this.
And we want to get involved with you guys as well. Whatever we can do to support. If you ever need meeting space, we have it.
Okay. We're looking forward to partnerships and just collaborations, because that's really how we can do this, to really spread this movement of good, to keep supporting one another until we can help more and more people each day. So thank you so much.
Kudos to Just Wish for what you do and getting the message out about this. So we really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sharon. Thank you, Lighthouse.
Bye.
Bye.